So yesterday I did some rolling out the groin. So today I'm going to do some groin movement. Yesterday I talked a little bit about the pelvis. So today I'm going to do some mobility, some groin movement, and some core work. So I'll start like this. If you're new, what I'm doing is I'm finding my compensations in my body and I'm trying to fix them. So I'm really trying to pay attention to where my body falls to and then applying tension across to come out of that. And it's key too, so that when I'm wanting to do big motions and starting to exercise again, I'm not just falling into my motions. And this is because I'm not coming into the exercises already fit. I'm coming actually really unfit and in a slump and in pain. So I'm trying to get myself out of that. Okay, so the first thing is that as I'm standing here, right, we know like I've been talking about my rotation and my collapse into here and my over rotation from my right to my left. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get into this hip. So I'm going to allow the band. So this is my hip socket in my right. This one's just a little lengthened. So like if I stand, this one likes to turn out a little bit more. This one just likes to do its own thing. So I'm trying to get my groin reconnected here, and I'm going to try to rotate into this hip to get this stretch here, and then doing my mobility and my motions from that today. So what I'm going to do is I have this band, and I'm going to put my leg in here. So I'm going to allow the band to pull my leg without overcompensating, so without letting my hip pop. I'm going to keep my hip in. So I'm also going to put more tension. I'm going to turn it so that there's more tension on the band turning back this way rather than forward this way. So I'm trying to get the groin muscles here to come in and back. So now that I'm in this position here, from my foot, I'm going to push that firm onto the ground, and then I'm going to lift up and engage my core. Okay, I'd say shoulder width apart. I'm going to take this foot, and what I'm doing is two things. So one is I'm pulling back on my right, and then the other one is I'm pushing a little bit off of the front of this foot to set in. So I'm kind of getting a runner stance here. But with the band pulling my leg, I'm getting a big stretch here. So my spine, I'm rotating towards this leg, nice and firm. So I want my knee lined up with my toe. If I relax and I come down, see my knee's kind of over this way. And then if I try to overcompensate, right, then I'm not letting the band do the job to pull me in. So I'm just trying to promote good rotation. So up. And the lower I get, because I'm going to do some hinges to squats as well, come up. The lower I get into this, the better it'll be for my squats. So when you go to the gym, there's really only 8 main motions, right? There's a push, pull, overhead push, overhead pull, a hinge, a squat, and a rotation. So different variations and different angles, you get that. But the premise to a lot of them is the same, where it all has the spine and core have to be on and they have to be straight. And that's kind of what we're working. So I'll do this one and I'll show you this one from this back angle here. So my left side is tight too. So just because I over rotate and I fall into my left doesn't mean I have good rotation in my left. It means that I'm collapsed into my left as well. Like my left is super tight because it's stable. So what I'm going to do here is the same thing. So allow the band to pull me. So I'm not going to tension it. Allow the band to pull me. Good. And then from here, my runner stance, sink into it. So hopefully you can see this motion, and I'm really getting a stretch here. If you have no butt, this is a great exercise for you. And it's key, right? It's from the foot and it's controlled throughout the spine. Yeah, and honestly, if I hold this, I could turn this into an exercise and hold the tension. So I'm actually feeling a stretch on the outside of the IT band here. Coming out. 2 and 1. lot of this too is I was talking about being compressed. So how you get out of like compressed pelvis, compressed hip is you create tension outside the body first, the superficial tension, and then you pull up and you try to go deep. And the more I can keep the pressure out on my feet and my core lifted, the more motion I can get. So bear with me here. I'm just going to move you guys so I can do my exercises. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to do the 2 mobility. I'm going to do a side lunge. And I'm going to do hinges to squats. One sec. I've got like a camera taped to a pole here. I'm trying to get the best angle. I don't have like a million cameras set up with like a little function or just toggle board where I switch it eventually, right? Not yet. Okay, good. You can see me. So a couple things I'm going to do. So one is I'm going to do my hinges to squats for mobility, which is key, without collapsing. So, and then I'm going to do my side lunges. Okay. So if I had nothing engaged and I'm just following and I'm going to do my side lunges, I would honestly just do them like this. Okay? So I don't know how that looks to you. To me, it's knee forward. So I'm guiding with my knee. My whole body is shifting. And I mean, I'm getting a little stretch, but it's not much. I'm just swaying my hips. So how I want to do it is, first of all, I want to create the tension with my feet. So I want to not be so wide, but push my hips out. So as you see, I'm rotating my groin in because this is where I want to be. Then from here, I'm lifting up my core. And I've been working on core work. I've been working on trying to feel that. So now I have a pretty, not great, but I have a good idea where it is. Next, right? Rotate a little bit. Get my ribs lined up with my hips. So I'm going to rotate my rib. Drop this. So now look. So now this is my position here, right? And as I start to roll out this, that'll come. So now from the spine, I'm going to push from my left foot into my right. And look, I'm not forward. I want to get it. Hang on. There we go. So I want to get it so my leg can straighten and I'm back. So I'm not open. Take a look. I'm closed. So this is the difference. Like, I'm not going to take off with my groin on this side. This side wants to lengthen. No, I got to rotate in and I got to close that position, get my butt out. This is like a speed skater stance, right? And then I'm trying to push this knee back and I'm not letting this leg collapse and out. So I'm going to do it to one side first and controlled. And as I'm pushing off of this foot, you can feel this leg taking the weight. Right now I have probably about 80% of my weight on this leg, and I'm rotated towards, and then I'm actually pushing off of this leg back. So core, in, yes, I have a stretch. Weights here, pushing off this leg, coming back. So this looks different, hopefully, right? If I do it controlled like this compared to the other side. So hopefully you can see a difference. So I'm going to work on, I'm only going one side first because I really want to focus on this. And why is this an exercise? This is an exercise because I'm engaging as I come through. Like I'm loading off the floor appropriately. So now I'm going to do this side. So with this side, when I go to this side, I come back nice, right? I still feel the stretch, but this leg right here, this wants to, so I have to make sure this hip is out and it doesn't collapse on me and take me for a spin. So again, pulling back. See, I can close off, because I can rotate this way, but it is tight as well. 3, 2, and I'll hold this one, right? So I don't want this here, I want this, I don't want the leg here, I want the leg here. Some tension back here. Good, into, core on, and last one. Trying to keep myself upright so I can get into the hips. There. So I have to be more cautious on that side because this one really does want to clap. So I'll work a little bit more on digging into here and then opening this way into the area, into my right hip. Okay, so next, I'm going to do a hinge to a squat. So it doesn't matter what type of deadlift you're doing. If you're doing a straight leg deadlift, a power deadlift, the premise is the same. So with a deadlift, it's spine is straight, right? And you're like that bird, that, you know, that red bird that people you see on the dash that just like hinges straight and comes back, right? That's what you want with the spine, and your legs are taking the weight. And the same thing with like the squat. I'll show you in a sec, okay? So here I am, deadlift, spine straight, hips pushing back, okay? So this would be a deadlift or a hinge. I come back, doesn't matter if my legs are straight, legs are down, right? Spine straight. If I wanted a squat is I bring the shins forward, I open up, and I sink down. So one is spine is straight on an angle this way, loading the hips. The other one is spine is straight here, loading the hips. So this is really good exercise. Probably one of my favorite. It's my hinge to squat. So I'm going to get a quick drink before I do this. Okay. So I'm back. It's not easy talking and exercising at the same time. I'll probably get better at it as I go along, but especially right now when I'm trying to focus, I mean, I'll get better at it as I go. But so here I am. So first of all, I've got to align myself. Okay, so I'm going to hinge. Okay. Slides down. So watch, if my core wasn't engaged, I would fall, but core engaged. I can show you what that looks like on the back, and that's why it's key. If you are tilting or slanting, or if you see someone in the gym, there's one butt is higher than the other, they have to fix that, right? You really do want the pelvis centered so you can come down. So I'll show you here. So if I'm doing a hinge, right, my butt is coming back, and my core is not engaged. So I'll show you here. This is core engaged, pushing out into my right hip. This core not engaged. This is me active, pulling in. And what am I doing? Am I doing anything huge? I'm not doing it from the feet. I'm doing it from the stomach. So come up. So stomach stays on. Here we go. I'm going to hinge. And then I'm going to allow my body weight, my chin's working back. I'm going to allow my body weight to bring my knees forward over my feet and sink down into my squat. Good, and as I get better, I can sink and lower down. So I do have tight hips. So a lot of times, right, the wider people stance, it just means that their hips are tight. Okay, my chin's working back, my core is on, and I'm taking this down and breathing and push. Okay, so I'll show you from the side. So I'm really trying to control this. So this is my hinge, core's on, activated. This is my hinge. Okay, I'm looking for my straight spine. I'm keeping that tension in the spine, and I'm allowing as my chin comes back, my body comes upright, I'm allowing myself to sink down into my hips. I open up a bit and back. So right now, I'm tight, so I'm falling forward. But the more I get my core, the more I can be upright and look down. Good, and then push. I'll show you from the front. One more time. So here's my hinge. And really, like, what do I feel here? As I do my hinge, I feel from the back of my feet all the way up to the back of my head because I'm stretching that whole back line. Then from here, hips. I really want you guys to try this one. Like, this is such a good exercise. So for me, push out, head back. Good. As I sink forward, I sink down into my hips. Good. And so right now, this is me collapsed, you can see, and then this is me activated. Collapse, activated through the core. And I'm upright, core on. Good, and up. So as I get more hip mobility, I'll be able to be a little bit more upright as I come back into my squat. And that's really what I want, right? I want to be more body weight loaded over my heels and centered rather than me falling forward and sticking my butt out. I want to be more centered. So I'll work on that as I go along. And you'll see as my mobility improves, my squat will be not from an angle here to, there will always be an angle, but it won't be so forward. It'll probably be around here. Okay. So next, core work. So here, I'm going to do a plank, but I'm going to add some rotation to it. All right. So, first thing I'm going to do, hands flat, knees in, okay? As I lengthen my head and I push my shoulder blades away from me, I'm going to push my knees in, and then from there I'm going to close off my core and lift up. So as I'm lifting up through my core, good, I'm going to hold this, and then all I'm going to do is, I'll show you, is I'm going to actually pull my elbows and my knees towards so I get a little bit more. So here, this is not, it's me pushing, lifting myself off. Good, I'm going to hold this for a couple seconds. Right, as I'm going along, right, I can feel myself wanting to move into new spots, which is great. Get my breath, be active with it. Good. So now I'm going to come up to my hands and knees, and I'm going to do a little bit of a rotation and a little bit of lower ab work. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center, and then I'm going to pull my stomach in, engage my core a little bit. From here, I'm going to drive my knees and hands forward, and then I'm just going to lift up just a touch. I'm just bringing my knees up. About half, so if you watch, about half an inch off the floor. This is like my little bear crawl exercise. Pulling my lower stomach in. Good. So I'll probably do that a couple times. And then right now, I'm just stretching side to side. So I'm just rotating the spine, seeing where I'm at. So one thing I noticed, like with me, so I've started with the core, I'm going lower body, and now I know that I need to do some upper body. Like I know I need to get into these shoulders, get into my upper traps a bit, so stuff like that. So I'm just going to rotate because I do feel tight a little bit in the arms. Okay, I'm going to reset. So head working back. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Drive the stomach in. Good. Keep that expansion though, and knees up. And the second you lift your knees up, right? You shouldn't feel all your quads. You shouldn't feel all your hands. You should feel like you're centered. Good. And rest. So today, this was a lot of movement, a lot of core, and I am sweating. And it may look ridiculous, but the second I should get one of my clients here, or like the toughest guy here, and I'll show you how controlled the motions are, and then they just start shaking and sweating. So one of the keys that I was talking about was trying to keep my core on with my spine, and then moving my legs and hips around my spine. So hinge to squat, try that motion, and let me know what you think. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.